Mike, what did you like most about that win?
Defense. I just thought that I think this, like I've said a whole bunch of times, I think our group is, just we're finally healthy. We're finally getting together. We're not a 6 seed. I think we can beat anybody anywhere at this point. And, that felt like a playoff game, a finals game to me. And the way you win those kind of games on the road is by playing defense. And it started with this guy right here. He was absolutely phenomenal with what we're trying to do. And they have some unbelievably offensive players. I mean, Jalen is just unbelievable. But the way you got to try to get him off the three-point line, and then once you kind of get him in the crowd, then you've got to contest and you got to protect the rim, and he did it over and over and over. And I told him that it's kind of a defensive clinic out there, and that's what you need to do. And I thought, I think we limited them to 2 threes, made threes in the second half, and that was a big deal for us.
At the start of the season, it was your offense that would win you your games. What can you point to over the past 6 or 7 games where your defense has been really, really good outside of health that you think is maybe improving on that end?
Yeah, I just think that our communication, right now with the healthy group, I'm able to come off the bench with Jason Kadee and Jarrell Martin and Sunday. I mean, and I'm playing an 8-man rotation, and I've got 3 veterans like that could easily be starters, and those guys are coming off the bench, and they solidified us. And how we're able to get back, how we're able to communicate, it's not going to always be perfect, but the group is constantly talking and connecting. And tonight, it wasn't perfect in the first half, and there was a lot of really great conversations, and I saw a lot of guys saying, that's me. And those things, you're like, you don't want too many of those my bads as a coach, but you also love the accountability and them doing it. And, that just gives the group this, and you do this. And when we get stops and we're able to run back at people and put pressure on them down the floor and play offense in space, then we've got guys rolling to the rim and putting pressure on the rim. And I think that's when we're at our best.
When Kendrick got in foul trouble in the fourth quarter, you had Jace, you had DJ with the ball carrying minutes. How good was it to
that was
guys pick up
probably the absolute best. And I want to give DJ another shout out. He's our captain, he's our leader. He does a lot of different things for us, but he's coming off a game where he scored like crazy. And tonight the scoring wasn't there because they were top locking him and doing some different things, and Bull's out there harassing him. But he contributed to this win in so many other ways besides shooting threes, and that's part of the growth of this team, and Ice doing things, and those things don't show up in the stat sheet, but they're just connectors with the group, and that was huge. Along with KD getting his 4th foul and being able to stay in the game and us actually increase the lead in that 3.5-minute window with him on the floor, and that's Jace, and that's a ton of experience. And Ice and Trez, they were all connected out there. They were all talking. Was it perfect? No, but we kept manufacturing it.
What about offensively? It was 60 points in the paint. Was that a focus for you coming into this ball game to really put that kind of heat on the rim?
Well, I think it's always a focus for us. I'm playing 2 centers. We play a little bit of an old school type of lineup. We constantly do that, so we have to own the paint.
Yeah. Ice, with everything that's been talked about, you guys, you've heard it, I know. How have you managed to stay together in this locker room and put up performances like that? Because it's not the first time you've come in here and done that to the Kings.
Yeah, honing in on our values and really keeping those values and staying together has been, really important for us and really valuable. Obviously, there's absolutely been a lot of outside noise, and that's happened, and we're all moving through that. And but at the end of the day, we really have come together in that locker room, and we have really learned to trust each other on the court, and it's very enjoyable to play out there at the moment. So I think.
And how's that connection for you with the other 2 bigs, and particularly Trez?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys kind of have. It seems like you've almost got mental telepathy going on. You know what each other is doing right now. It was proven tonight.
Yeah, I mean, all year, as soon as Trez came in, I knew I was going to have to be the guy that sort of had to read what he was doing. So I love that sort of job. I like to be able to use my brain a lot and read what he's going to do. And I've sort of figured out exactly what he's going to do down there on the post now. So I can tell with how he moves his hips or legs which way he's going, and therefore where I can get to get the ball. And if he's going to finish, fine. But more often than not, he will find me, and I'll do my best to finish for him. So that's been an ongoing development. And I mean, he's someone with so much experience, and it's like a real honour to play with him out there. So it's really cool.
And fantastic game from you. And I know it's been a while since you were wearing the opposition colours, but how big was that for you personally to put up a performance like that in that building tonight?
Yeah, played a fair bit of basketball in this building, I guess, when you think about it. So very cool to come back, and I never want to be the guy that, like, my family's in the crowd, you know, whatever. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. But you know, my mum and my nephews were in the crowd today, my brother. So it was nice to play for them and play in front of them. They don't get to see me very often, and they certainly don't get to see me play basketball live very often anymore. So it was definitely an added thing. Saw some friends from the US courtside, like little things. That doesn't add into it or anything. I felt really good coming in the game regardless, but I love my hometown, and I love to go out there and put on a show for the hometown, I guess.
So much validation does it give you to have like a defensive performance like that, where it's quite dominant and sort of defensive playmaking too?
Yeah, it's really, really important for me. I really try to, honestly, like, I go into every game really not knowing what offenses come in my way, so I know I can control what I can do defensively. So the fact that I got to really show that and be just really switched on defensively tonight was awesome, and I think it really helped the guys. And you know, my job is to literally be the back line of defense for all of us and quarterback our defense, and I love that role and I love that job. So being the 5-man, I just love to anchor that and be back there and getting blocks and rebounds. And it just sort of was humming tonight in that way.
Mike, this is a Kings team that has a lot of guys on the perimeter that play up and in, that throw a lot of physicality at you. How do you feel your guys, especially Kendrick, handled that and absorbed it and kept going?
Yeah, well, they've got a ton of talent, and they can really ramp up the pressure on us, right? I mean, it was a really physical, that felt like a finals type game with the full court pressure and all the hand checking, and you know, I'm talking to the refs, and Gord's is talking to the refs, and I mean, you know, every time I felt like somebody drove the lane both ways, they probably could have called a foul, right? But you know, I give Kendrick a ton of credit. Like, he, you know, he handles a ton of minutes, and he guards the other guys. Best ball handler for the most part. We were rotating him around a little bit tonight because of Latin Sunday's presence, and but you know, he's just continued to grow through the year. Like, you know, he's a young point guard, and I've said this before, there's a really hard distinction between being a point guard and a points guard. And he has a tough job, because he knows that a lot of times, even when those guys are pressing him up, you know, that he can just drive around guys, you know, and then the ball's got to move. And, you know, what you saw in the first quarter was our defense anchored us, and then we had 8 assists in the first quarter, I think. And the ball moved side to side, and everybody gets to touch the ball, and everybody starts to get a little rhythm early in the offense, and then the game starts to set and you start to play. But, you know, it's hard for some guys if you just don't touch it a lot. And, you know, at times, you know, Kendrick's got the toughest job out there because, you know, he knows that he can get to the paint and probably score it the majority of the time, and yet, you know, you gotta move it around. But he's grown leaps and bounds. His connectedness with, you know, just Ice and figuring it out. Like, you know, early in the season, you know, it was a conversation with Ice and KD about, man, you two are going to be in more, you know, plays together than any two guys. And that's offensively and defensively. And that's played out. And, you know, their communication on both sides of the ball is really, really, you know, it's just a completely different place than when we started. And, you know, I just couldn't be more proud of the group defensively, because they have a lot of different weapons, man. And they keep playing 5 out and, you know, putting you in different rotations and things. But, you know, thought we really, really defended with an edge and then rebounded.
Is there a little bit of pressure off the group now that you're in 6th spot? Your destiny's in your own hands to an extent now?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we've been playing playoff basketball here for 4, 5, 6 games. That's kind of what we've talked about. The only way you can control your own destiny is to win. We can't, I don't want to feel that again. I think we all feel like we're one of the better teams, but you got to go out there on the floor and you got to prove it. I think everybody in that locker room wants to play more than 4 games.
Does tonight kind of set that marker for you in terms of, this is when you study the tape and then the guys go through it, is that kind of setting a marker, okay, this is where we know we've got to get to?
Yeah,
Probably nice.
I mean, yeah, it's like Mike said, it really has been. We've had a mindset of playoff basketball for the last 6 games, to be honest. We go into every single game like it's, you know, like literally do or die, and it is. So that is absolutely a motivator for us, and we know the importance of every game, every basket, every pass, everything. Of course it's important, but in saying that, we have to go out there and just play basketball as well, and play our brand of basketball that we've identified now and figured out. But yeah, there's a lot on the line. It is what it is. It's a high pressure environment. It's an incredible league, and there are a lot of good teams. So yeah.
Anyone on the Zoom?
Yeah, just quickly, if I can, Mike, a couple. With last week, after having the Friday to Sunday turnaround, it's not quite the same this week because now you're going back home, and obviously Sydney to Adelaide is not quite as far as Perth to Cairns. But did you learn a lot from what you did right to get that back end of the doubleheader right, which you now look to try to implement for this week?
Well, our group has been extremely professional with 1 day's rest the entire year. That was an unusual one with flying clear across the country and playing a 3 o'clock game or whatever. But I was probably a little too wound up for that game because I knew what kind of talent they have. You saw them with a huge win last night. I mean, I was sitting there thinking about Cairns and how much individual scoring and how they play, and Coach Ford does a heck of a job. So, that was a heck of a 1 day off turnaround and a hell of a win for us to get that one. And we did everything we could to kind of get the group rested this week. I was really nervous about just sort of getting our legs back under us during the week, and still trying to keep a little bit of a rhythm on both sides of the ball as coaches have to go, and we stress about that kind of stuff. But I thought that once the jump ball went up, right, we won 3 of the 4 quarters. And I thought we were pretty set, and we definitely won both quarters in the second half, which, makes me really happy. And then, for us, you got to go home, and we have to take care of home court. We've been a very good home court team the entire year. Now we have more on the line, and we've just got to, take care of home court against our New Zealand on Sunday at whatever time that game is, 4 o'clock, I believe.
Just one quickly for you guys as well. How different is the challenge to go from this game tonight, where you're largely matched up with Zabe or Cam, and now get ready for Sunday, where you've got Taco waiting for you?
Yeah. Whatever. Challenge is a challenge, I guess. And he's a man mountain. He's a humongous human being. Why am I looking at the speaker? He's a humongous human being, and I think we did a good job of all that last game. So we'll definitely go back and look at that film, I'm sure, and put that game plan together. And Mike just said it. We're pretty used to 1 game turnarounds and finding and having another opponent, pretty quickly. We're at the very back end of the season. We've played each team a few times now, so we have a bit of an idea. So, of course, totally different matchup and situation, but that's just our job.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.